If Rome Odunze is there, you take him. If he's not, then Ryan Poles was going to entertain offers about trading back from pick number 9. What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about some of the details that came out from behind the scenes of the NFL draft room, as shown on the NFL's new show, NFL Draft. The pick is in, that can be seen on the Roku channel. Ryan Poles talked about how they were zeroed in on Rome Odunze at pick number 9, and he really elaborated what went into making that pick. He further detailed the Bears' debate on what to do at pick number 9, specifically the different position groups: wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive line. Those players were Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. at wide receiver, Joe Alt, Olu Fashanu, Tali Fuaga, and J.C. Latham at offensive tackle. And on the defensive line, you had Jared Verse, Dallas Turner, Byron Murphy, and Liatu Latu. By the time the Bears were on the board at pick number 9, Joe Alt and J.C. Latham were gone. So was Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors, leaving multiple players at each position, or Ryan Poles had his choice of taking the top defensive player in the entire draft. He broke his scouting departments into 3 different teams to address each position between wide receiver, D-line, and offensive tackle. He said they talked about analytics, scarcity of the position, and how championship teams build their roster. He said each position could lead to a championship caliber roster, but pairing a young receiver with a young quarterback was the most interesting decision to him, and one that Ryan Poles liked the most, especially since Rome Odunze was the second highest player on our draft board. The recent examples of other pairings in the NFL, quarterbacks being paired with a young receiver, starting with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase taking the Bengals to the Super Bowl. You can also talk about the success that Patrick Mahomes had with Tyreek Hill, Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, Justin Herbert with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, so on and so forth. You can also see what A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith did with Jalen Hurts, and what Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk have done for Brock Purdy. And then, of course, just look at what Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle did for Tua down in Miami. The examples are endless. But Ryan Poles zeroed in on wanting to pair Rome Odunze with Caleb Williams early on in the process, so much so that he even offered a future 4th-round pick to move up a spot and grab him. Ryan Poles said he even thought about spending higher draft capital from next year's draft in order to move up higher and get Rome Odunze, but luckily, Ian Cunningham talked him out of it, and were able to land Rome Odunze without giving up any extra picks. He said he's known for months before the draft that he wanted both Caleb and Rome Odunze. He knew obviously that he'd land Caleb Williams at number 1, but he said he thought it was about 50-50 if Rome would still be there, and the biggest key was the Giants at number 6. It wasn't a secret they wanted a wide receiver. It just came down to whether or not they chose Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors. Luckily, they took Neighbors. Poles did not seem as high on Malik Neighbors, though, and he was even quoted on the Roku show saying, "If Rome is there, he is the pick. If Rome is gone, let's entertain offers to trade down." So if Rome Odunze would have been drafted before pick number 9, like he should have been, because let's be honest, no way is Rome Odunze the 9th best player in the draft. He's easily a top 5 guy, and landing him at pick number 9 was a steal. Ryan Poles got really excited after the Giants took Malik Neighbors, and once Rome was still on the board, Poles said the entire draft room took a deep breath and celebrated together. Poles said, "Wow, we didn't have to give up anything, and we still got our guys." Ian Cunningham said to him, "That's the number 1 and number 2 player, dog. Unbelievable. What a moment. It's going to go down as one of the best in Chicago Bears history. Something I think all of us fans are going to remember forever." Even Caleb Williams' reaction to us drafting Rome Odunze was priceless in itself. He celebrated out loud in the green room backstage at the NFL draft, and he said, "We got our guy. We got our guy. Uno." Referring to Rome Odunze, Poles had such an interesting quote on Odunze. He said, "It's almost like you took DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and they had a baby, and that is the skill set that Rome Odunze brings to the table. He has Keenan Allen's size, but he has a lot of the same skills that DJ Moore has as well. all packed into one explosive player that I think could end up being the best wide receiver in Bears history. Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren called it a perfect day. One of the best in Bears franchise history, if you ask me. One night truly changed the direction of this franchise's future. 2 years in a row now, Ryan Poles has managed to drastically change the future projection of the Chicago Bears. Last year, he fleeced the Carolina Panthers and he turned the number one pick into the best trade in NFL history. This year, he used that draft capital to have a moment that beats anything from Kevin Costner's Draft Day movie and should someday get a movie of its own. Chicago Bears' perfect day. How Ryan Poles acquired two of the best players in the NFL draft and changed the history of the franchise. If you guys want an in-depth look at Ryan Poles and our front office's reaction, check out the NFL's new show titled The NFL Draft. The Pick is In. It's not sponsored by them or anything. It's just a great show. It's available for free on the Roku channel, the Roku app, or Roku's website, which is where I watched it. I'll go ahead and link that in the description below if you guys want to check it out. Roku offers it free, and I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I think everyone should watch it. It also shows some other teams behind the scenes, but only a couple of them. There's a lot of Bears content on this show. Another awesome tidbit was it sounded like Ryan Poles had Jared Verse ranked higher than Dallas Turner, and that's something I always wondered about myself in the pre-draft process. Jared Verse was my favorite defensive end in the draft, but most media outlets had Turner as the top guy, and I always wondered what Ryan Poles thought about that due to the length and athleticism of both guys, and I love that Poles was a fan of Jared Verse. The Rams also wanted him over Dallas Turner, and they were really happy he fell to pick number 19. Then they showed off the moment when the Rams drafted Braden Fisk as well. Verse was able to get on the phone and welcome his former teammate to the Rams. It was a really cool behind the scenes moment. But the best moments of the show came from Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, and Kevin Warren discussing Chicago's perfect day and how they landed both Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams. It still does not feel real to me. But overall, it was a great watch. We got some insights to behind the scenes of the Bears draft room. Check that out if you guys want. Let me know what your thoughts are if you have watched it. Please remember to hit that like button for me. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.